What's up, YouTube? I'm back at it. So let's see. Today we are on Alma Real Drive. Okay, look at this beautiful little house, man. It's such a shame. So today, I wanted to share with you guys some of my thoughts and opinions and comments about, what's going on with the economy and what's going on with the world. Sorry, there's a lot of construction going on. I hope you guys can bear with me. The other day was Liberation Day, whatever the hell that means. So we haven't really felt the effects yet of tariffs. But we have started to see the stock market jump the gun. And we're starting to see the stock market take a pretty significant hit. I think the Dow Jones was down like 10% or something like that. Went down like a couple thousand points. Whatever it was. Don't quote me on the numbers, I don't know exactly. But, which makes sense though when you think about it, really. All of these investors are pricing in tariffs now. And they think that basically what the stock market is telling us is these investors think that these tariffs are going to have a pretty significant impact on the economy going forward. Which I would say is probably a pretty fair assumption. Right? In the short term, it's definitely going to have an impact. In the long run, I guess that's to be determined. We don't really know. The fact that the stock market has gone down as much as it has, and we haven't even felt the effects of tariffs just yet, is actually mind-boggling to me. You know, it's literally within days, the market started going down. It hasn't even actually happened yet, you know? Like nothing that we buy has gone up by 25%. Or whatever it's supposed to go up by. Which brings me to my next topic. The topic of inflation. How do you guys think that tariffs are going to impact the inflation rate going forward? Will the inflation rate go up? Will it go down? What do you think? I think that tariffs are going to have a pretty significant impact on the inflation rate to the upside. I think everything that we buy, which is the majority of everything that we buy is made in other countries, the price of all those things is going to go up. Whether it's nails, whether it's cars, whether it's 2x4s, lumber, whatever. It's all going up. You know, and what does that mean for interest rates? Sorry, I wanted to take a pause and zoom into the American flag. So beautiful. See if I can zoom in a little bit more. So yeah, let's see, where am I going? We'll go down this way. If inflation goes up as expected, you know what, go back. If inflation goes up as expected, you know, that means that the Federal Reserve is really going to have their hands full trying to balance this economy You know, on one hand, the Federal Reserve has to try and get the inflation rate down to 2%, which has been, you know, we're going in the right direction, but it's proving to be more challenging than what we originally thought it was going to be. I mean, inflation has been over 2% for I don't know how many years now, 4 or 5 years since 2020. And now if these tariffs go into effect and, you know, prices of goods go up significantly, the Federal Reserve may be forced to raise interest rates again in an attempt to lower inflation. Now that hasn't happened, you know, and we're kind of just speculating, but I think it's totally within the realm of possibility that the Fed may be forced to raise rates at a time when there's so many bad things going on within the country and globally, you know, and we're also have an administration, Donald Trump, talking about firing tens of thousands of government workers. Could you imagine what life would be like if could you imagine what life would be like if we had not only a high inflation rate, but a high unemployment rate as well? It's right now the unemployment rate is still pretty low. It's at about 4%. So, which begs the question: what kind of impact will tariffs have on the unemployment rate? I guess that's to be determined as well. It's going to be a very hard job for the Federal Reserve. It's a crazy balancing act, right? We got tariffs, we got inflation, we got unemployment. What's going to happen? And at some point in time, in my personal opinion, something in the economy will break. Something will break. And now we're hearing potentially conflict with Iran. That's not good. You know? Obviously, I'm speculating. It hasn't happened yet, but there's a lot of questions. If tariffs push up the inflation rate, the Federal Reserve will be potentially forced to raise rates again. So anyone who is anticipating mortgage rate relief, you know, if you bought a home over the last couple of years at a 7 or 8% mortgage and you were anticipating the Fed was going to cut rates, mortgage rate relief is not looking like it's going to be on the horizon anytime soon, especially if these tariffs have a pretty significant impact on the inflation rate. Not to mention, we also have an administration that's goal and priority and focus is government efficiency. In other words, firing thousands of workers, government workers, and getting rid of wasteful spending and fraud, which, I mean, it's a good idea. I mean, who wouldn't want to be more efficient and cut wasteful spending? That's a great idea, but I don't know, I guess there's a time and place for everything. And right now it's definitely, I don't think, going to be the most optimal time to do something like that. But we'll see what happens. I don't really know. Everyone's, I suppose, speculating. I'm going to go ahead and take a pause and try to capture a photo of this. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the potential for tariffs? Do you think that they are going to increase the inflation rate? Do you think tariffs are good for the country? Bad for the country? What do you guys think? In the short term, it's going to have an impact on the economy, but in the long run, it will incentivize companies to really just stop offshoring bring back manufacturing jobs to the States, you know? I think the idea of bringing back jobs to America, manufacturing jobs in particular, I think that's a great idea. So in the long run, I try to be optimistic for America. You know, we should really, as a country, start to focus more on being less dependent on, you know, countries like China, Canada, Mexico, Taiwan, Vietnam, Indonesia. You know, we should really start manufacturing more goods within the United States, even if it comes at a cost. And that cost could potentially be, you know, higher wages, more companies pushed into unionization. You know, we all know that companies really don't like unions, you know. So what do you guys think? If you could put that in the comment section below, I'd really appreciate that. I'd love to hear things from both perspectives. You know, this isn't really like a Democrat or Republican channel. It's just the Cameron Desbro channel. You know, I'm just Cameron trying to figure out what's going on in this crazy world that we live in and do my best to guide my way through the storm that I foresee. Like I forget what the banker, Jamie Dimon, a couple of years ago, he said there's a storm out there. We can see it off in the distance and it's headed right for us. I love listening to Jamie Dimon. I love listening to Ray Dalio. I love listening to economic podcasts in general. David Rosenberg, Stephanie Pomboy, Adam Taggart, Danielle DiMartino Booth, Jeffrey Gonlock, the Bond King. For whatever reason, as boring as it sounds, I'm super fascinated in micro and macroeconomics and learning about the business cycle and interest rates and this fluctuation in the economy. And I'm starting to learn more and more how one person, Donald Trump, can potentially inflict a globally synchronized macro recession, whether you like it or not. In the short term, it could be catastrophic. We're already starting to see the stock market hedge their bets, and they think that the economy is going to tank. So you're starting to see a major market sell-off as of today, and we haven't even felt the effects of tariffs yet. Everyone's just speculating, but I think it's safe to assume that the stock market has a tendency to be correct for the most part, you know. Anyways, that's some of my thoughts and opinions. What do you guys think? If you could please, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you could comment in the comment section, you know, your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I value all of it, and I try to do my best to hear things from different perspectives, because that's the ultimate way of guiding ourselves through treacherous waters. Okay. Take a picture. I think we'll end it right here. So this is Ocampo Road, or excuse me, Ocampo Drive. The perfect way to end the video today. Right here on the American flag. So thank you again for all of the people who have been liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. All of the love and support. Even the negative comments and stuff, you know, that I get, I don't really mind. It doesn't faze me too much. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.